welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with another video, and this time we're going to be doing a beautiful set of spring nails. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm just going in and removing her bling, and as you can see, she has quite a few broken nails. The reason why is because I believe she got in a fight or something. But at first I was going to go ahead and just repair the nails, but I ended up just changing my mind and deciding to just go ahead and do a whole new set. But first, what I'm doing is I'm basically just following the acrylic down as much as I can. And as you can see, I'm using a new drill, which this is the nail drill that I recently just got by Susie, and it's the Scarlet nail drill. It is $49.99, and you can get a promo code for 12% off, which is LED12, and you can use that at time of checkout to get the discount. But anyways, I'm just using also a quartz drill bit, which is by Pana, and I'll be sure to leave the link in the description. But again, I'm just thinning down the nails. That way, whenever we start soaking off the nails, it's not going to take as long to soak. So just follow them down as much as you can. Obviously, just enough to where you're not going to hurt your client and you're not going to be falling down on the natural nail with this quartz drill bit. So just follow down on the acrylic, not on their natural nail. And then once we have them thinned down, we're just going to use pure acetone in the little soaking bowls, and we're going to let them soak for about 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. Again, I'm just thinning down the acrylic, and obviously this nail was too thick for me to be able to cut it with the nail clipper. So I'm just using my drill to kind of cut the nail off, as you can see here. And again, this drill is by Susie, and I've been reviewing it, and honestly, it's really good. If you're looking for a new drill, I highly recommend this one. The style is super pretty, and I'll have a review video for this one, hopefully before or after this video, but I honestly highly recommend it. Again, it's $49.99, and then it does come with a 12% promo code, which is good from April 1st until the 30th, so be sure to go check them out. But again, we're just removing all of the acrylic, so we're just soaking it off in pure acetone. So after 20 minutes of soaking, you can just wipe the nails off and all of the acrylic should be off. As you can see, it was still a little bit on that one, so I put that one back in to let it soak off, but this one was pretty much done. So I'm going to go ahead and just push the cuticles back, and then after that we're going to come back and just shape the nails and remove the shine from the natural nail to start on the acrylic nails, or the new set, I guess. But again, make sure that all of the acrylic is off the nails, and then come back and remove the shine from the natural nails. As always, I'm using a 180 sanding band, and we're just removing the shine. We're not filing to thin the nail out, none of that, literally just removing the shine. And this step is something that you don't want to skip, because if you don't do this step correctly, you will get lifting. So again, make sure that you're using a 180 sanding band and just remove the shine from the natural nail. Alrighty, so the acrylic on this hand is completely soaked off as well, so I'm going to go ahead and push the cuticles back, and then same thing, just removing the shine from the natural nail with the 180 sanding band. So once we're done removing the shine from the natural nail, we're going to go ahead and apply the nail tips. So as always, I'm using my KDS glue, and I'm using my natural nail tips. And remember that when you're applying nail tips, if one tip is too small and the other one is too big, just go back and use the bigger one and just file it down on the sides to make it fit perfectly. And then also, as you can see, I'm gluing down this ring finger right now, but I realized after I glued it on that it was a different type of tip. it's a little bit longer and it curves a little bit more than the other ones that I'm applying. So you will see me come back and just cut the nail off and soak it off for a few minutes and then reapply the correct nail tip. It wasn't as noticeable, but it would have literally bothered me because it was going to be a little bit more curved than the other ones. But again, remember, when you're applying the nail tips, the main thing is if one tip is too small and the other one's too small, always go with the bigger one and just file it down on the sides. Do not try to force that small tip to go on the nail, because you will get lifting or your nail is just going to break off or any of that. So make sure that you work smarter and not harder. Again, just file the nail down a little bit on the side if it's too big and just make it fit perfectly. Alrighty, so I went back to the other hand and I just cut the tip down with the tip cutter. I got a cotton ball with acetone and a little clip, and I'm just soaking off that tip, and it's going to soak off really fast. It's literally going to be like 5 minutes and the nail tip will be off because they're so thin. And then after that, we're just going to be reshaping the nails, or not reshaping, but shaping the nails, and she won them ballerina. So the difference between the coffin and ballerina is that the ballerina are a little bit more narrow at the tip, and then coffin are a little bit more wide, kind of like a in between a square and ballerina, if that makes sense. So again, the ballerina are a little bit more narrow. And then as you can see, I'm just going in with my straight edge nail clipper and I'm just trimming down the sides, and this is just going to save us a little bit more time whenever we start filing. And yes, these nail tips are a little bit different than the ones that I usually use, but these are a little bit longer, which is why I'm using them, because this is my girl that likes to get the super long nails. So again, we're just trimming down the sides to help us save time whenever we start filing. And then to file the nails, we're using a 100 nail file, and we're just filing at a 45-degree angle on the sides and a 90-degree angle at the free edge to get it super straight. So again, we're filing at a 45-degree angle on the sides. We're alternating from side to side to make sure we don't file too much on one side, because then the nail's going to be crooked. And then once you have the sides, or I guess once you have it as narrow as you want, you just file the free edge at exactly a 90-degree angle to make sure that it's super straight. And then also make sure that when you're filing, you file directly like next to their nail groove, or like the side of their nail, to make sure that the tip is no bigger or wider than their natural nail, because of course the nail is not going to look as natural. But again, just filing at a 45-degree angle on the sides. And then as you can see here, we're just removing some of that soaked off nail tip that was on here. Just gently do it and then reshape the nail, and then we're just going to go ahead and glue the tip back on and just reshape it after the glue has dried. So usually whenever that happens, if you glue a tip on and it was crooked, just clip it off, soak it off with the little clip and acetone, or you can use the cotton ball and aluminum foil, whatever you want to use, and just soak it off. Don't try to shape it to make it straight, because most of the time it's still going to be crooked. So just go ahead and take it off and just redo it. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. So again, it's the same thing over and over and over a million times. And then also, I think I forgot to mention that I always blend the tip right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meets. And that's just going to make the tip look a lot more natural. And then also, as you can see, I put on a little thumb protector. And this is just going to protect my thumb because usually whenever I'm filing at this angle right here, like on the left side, I always file like the side of my finger and it hurts. So with this little thing, it just protects me from cutting my thumb and then also just from messing up your fingernails. So I'll leave the link in the description to those, but they have, I think the pack comes with like 10 for each of your fingers, I think, but I'm just using one on my thumb. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish shaping the nails and then we're gonna move on to the next step. Okay, so after we finish shaping the nails, we're going to go ahead and dust them off. And then we're going to go in with the primer. So as always, I'm using my OPI Bondex. I use this because I have a lot of OPI products and I just want to get rid of them. But it works really good for me and I do highly recommend it. But I do recommend that you either stick to the same brand as your acrylic or honestly whatever works for you. So I'm going to be using some of these dried flowers and then I'm also going to be using some foil. I'm going to be using the glow in the dark powder, which is the off-white color, as well as the clear acrylic. And I'm not going to be using my pink by Mia Secret, so you will see me get that out the way eventually. But I'm going to go ahead and start. So the first bead I applied was just at the tip, brushing it down. And then I'm going to apply another bead at the top. So basically, I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it. But I'm just going to do a layer of the glow in the dark powder. And then I'm going to come through and just apply the flowers. And the flowers, you literally just kind of get your brush a little bit wet and just pick up the brush, or not the brush, but pick up the flower with your brush and just place it on the nail and just like pat them down if you have to make them, you know, lay down really flat so they're not sticking up, because then they'll be hard to encapsulate. So make sure you get them really nice and flat on the nail. And then I'm just going to come back and just apply the little gold pieces of foil around the nail. And then of course we're going to come back and just encapsulate this with the clear acrylic. So again, I'm using my off-white color, which glows in the dark. And that's just literally a mixture of white acrylic, clear, and then my off-white glow in the dark powder, which I do have a video on how to make the glow in the dark powders. So I'll be sure to leave that down in the description. But again, we're just applying the little gold pieces. And then we're going to use the Mia Secret clear acrylic to encapsulate that. So the first bead I applied right in the middle of the nail, brushing it down towards the tip. And then the most important thing when encapsulating nails is making sure that the acrylic over your flowers or glitter or whatever you're using is thick enough. That way, whenever you come back to file, you're not going to file any of that off. So make sure that you look at the nail from different angles. So every time you see me lift the finger up, that's me looking at the nail from like the tip or the side to see where I need to apply more acrylic. And this next bead is what's going to create our apex. So as you can see, I placed it down and then really gently just blending it down with the rest of the nail. And you want to make sure that your apex is always thicker than the rest of the nail, because that's what's going to give you your strength. So if you hit your nail on something, it's not going to break off really easily. And then as always, just add a little bit more if you need to. But as you've seen, I lifted the nail up and then I looked to see where I needed to add more acrylic, and then that's where I added it. So make sure that you don't just add acrylic everywhere. Pay attention to what you're doing, and that's how you're going to determine if you need to add more acrylic or not. So as you can see, I still kind of had a flat apex. So I went back in and just added another bead, cleaning around my cuticle area and then brushing everything down towards the tip. So we're going to move on to the next nail, and all of these are just going to be plain glow in the dark powder. So what I'm going to be doing, since I'm kind of running low on my glow in the dark powder, so I need to mix up some more. But I'm just doing a thin layer of the glow in the dark powder so we can get that off-white look. And then once we have that nice layer, we're going to come back with the clear acrylic and just encapsulating that. That way I don't use up too much of my glow in the dark powder. So here, this is my clear not my clear glow in the dark, but my clear acrylic. And we're just encapsulating that. And we're going to do that on all of the rest of the nails. And then on the other hand, we're going to be doing the same thing we did on this middle finger with the flowers and the foil. But remember, we're just sticking to basically the 4-ball method, and you will see me changing it up a little bit. Sometimes, instead of adding my third bead right in the middle or closer to the cuticle area, I might add it to the tip. So that's why it's really important to pay attention to what you're doing, to look at your nail from different angles, because you guys probably get sick of me saying the same thing over and over again. But it's really important that you look at the nails from the side, because your tip might be thick enough to where you don't have to add that 4th bead, or your apex might be perfect to where you don't have to go back and add that last bead. So again, make sure you look at the nail from different angles to determine where you need to add more acrylic, because you don't want to be left with a really thick nail at the end and having to file your life away. So work smarter and not harder. Alrighty, so I don't want to bore y'all with my talking for the rest of the video, so I'm going to go ahead and just finish the acrylic application. But then also I wanted to mention that my brush that I'm using, of course, is my Alpha brush in a number 10. As you guys know, I just love their brushes. They work so good for me. So I'll be sure to leave that link in the description as well as the promo code. But again, this is my Alpha brush in a number 10 in an oval shape. We're going to go ahead and finish applying the acrylic, and then we'll be moving on to the next step. So I'm finishing up this nail, and it's basically the same thing as the other middle finger, but this time for the rest of the nails I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and apply the glow in the dark powder first, and then I'm gonna come through with the clear acrylic and just encapsulate all of the nails. And honestly, I feel like that was a lot faster. It's basically the same thing that I do whenever I'm doing the ombre nails with acrylic. I do the tips first, and then I come through and do the cover color at the back and the clear. Again, I just feel like it speeds up the process, but whatever works for you is fine, whether that's doing a nail at a time or doing this and then coming back and doing the clear on all of the nails. But again, whatever you feel is best for you, whatever is the fastest for you, it's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off, and then I'll be back. So after we finish applying the acrylic, we're going to go in with that same 100 nail file, and we're just going to be reshaping the nails. Remember, this is a step that you do not want to skip, because even no matter how flawless your application is, you're still going to have those little rough edges on the side. And then also, once you apply the acrylic, it kind of takes away from your shape, so you have to go back in and reshape those nails. But it's basically the same thing, just falling on the sides at a 45-degree angle and the free edge at a 90-degree angle, and that's going to give you that flawless shape. And then again, these are the ballerina nails. As you see, they are a lot more narrow. They're narrower? No, that's not a word. They're a lot more narrow at the tip, and this is how they look, so flawless. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand, and again, just falling at a 45-degree angle on the side and a 90-degree angle at the free edge, making sure that it's exactly a 90-degree angle. You don't want it leaning a little bit more to the side, because then of course your nail is going to be crooked. So make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing and watching your nails change shape as you're filing. That's super important, because if not, you're going to have some crooked nails. And honestly, I feel like no matter how bad the nails are, if you have a good shape, like that's just gonna automatically make the nail look a lot better. So shape is really important. So make sure that you focus on this a lot. Even as a beginner, just make sure you get your shape down really good, and people are gonna want to come to you even just for your shape, because if you notice, a lot of people always complain about how their nails are not shaped the way they want it to. So if you can shape nails really good, and then eventually get good at everything else, like girl, you will be the bomb.com. So make sure that you focus on that. But anyways, after we finish reshaping the nails, we're gonna go in with our drill, and I'm just using a fine drill bit to file the acrylic. And we're just going to be filing, as always, around the cuticle area first, going from the right side over to the left side, just going back and forth until you're able to see where the cuticle is, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylic is. That way you know that the acrylic is not on the skin. And also, that's really going to make sure that you don't have any lifting. But also keep in mind that no matter how good you filed the nail around the cuticle area, if you do not prep the nail correctly, you will still get lifting. So your lifting will come from a number of things. It could be from either not prepping the nail correctly, applying tips that are too big or too small, not using the correct liquid to powder ratio, and then not filing around that cuticle area really good. So if you have lifting and you don't know what it is, make sure that you analyze your steps to kind of do a process of elimination. Like, okay, I'm prepping the nail really good, I'm applying the right size tips, my nails are a little bit too, when I apply the acrylic, it's a little bit too dry, so maybe that's what it is. Or maybe I'm not filing around the cuticle area really good, so that could be it too. So make sure that you take those things into consideration when you're applying nails, because as a beginner, this is probably going to be the hardest thing to do, to prevent lifting. That's the hardest for everyone. I know it was for me. It was frustrating, it was irritating, it was embarrassing when people, when you did someone's nails and then they messaged you the next day or 2 days later saying their nails are lifting. It's really embarrassing, but the only way to get better is with practice. So make sure that you do not give up. Just keep practicing, keep trying, whether it's on your sisters or cousins, before you decide to start doing other clients. Make sure that you have your lifting under control. That way you don't have to go through that problem, because again, it was really embarrassing for me. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and finish shaping, or not shaping, but filing the nails. And then as always, you guys know that this could also be done with just a hand file, but with the e-file you do it a lot faster, and then you're able to get really close to that cuticle area to seal that cuticle or the acrylic around the cuticle. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish, and then I will be right back. Alrighty, so now we're just going to go in and buff the nails. So remember, this is just to get rid of any of those scratches left on the nail from the e-file or the hand file. So make sure that you buff really good. And then as always, I run my thumb over the top of the nail to make sure that they're nice and smooth. And then if they're not, I just go back in and buff a little bit more. And also wanted to mention that one of my subscribers actually commented in my previous video, and she was just saying how after she gets her nails done, she can see those scratches through her polish. And for one, that's the reason why you want to make sure that they're buffing the nail, or that you're buffing the nails really good to prevent that. But if that's happening, they literally just have to buff the nail a little bit more. So after they apply the acrylic and file and buff, just feel on your nails and just, you know, kindly tell them like, hey, you know, they still feel a little bit rough. Can you buff a little bit more? And they should be willing to do it. And then of course, if they're not willing to do it, then I would suggest you just find a new person to do your nails, because obviously they don't, either not paying attention, they just don't care. But anyways, after we finish buffing, we're just going to wipe the nails off, or you can have your client go wash their hands, whatever works for you best. And then we're just going to start the nail art. So for this set, it's not going to be too much. We're just going to be applying some foil on top of the flowers, because she wanted a little bit more foil in different colors. So we're going to be applying blue, gold, and orange foil on the middle finger. And then on the pinky, we're just going to be applying some chrome. So for that, I'm just doing a top coat, which is my IBD gel top coat, and letting that cure for 60 seconds. And then as far as the glue that we did on the the middle finger, we just have to let that dry until it turns clear, as you see, and it goes on white. And then the way to know if it's dry is once it's all the way clear. Alrighty, so once the top coat is cured, we're going to go ahead and just apply the chrome. And I'm just using my Born Pretty chrome, and then I'm using a makeup wet sponge to just rub the chrome over the nail. And then of course, we're going to come back and apply a top coat over this. So now we're going to go in and apply some bling. So I'm going to be using some bigger pieces. And for that, I'm using my Mia Secret gel resin. I'm using my wax pencil. And then I'm also going to be using some gold caviar around the big pieces. Also my SS6 and SS12 AB crystals. So again, just make sure that you apply your Mia Secret gel resin as you go. And then just making sure that you apply the caviar really carefully, because they're really small. And then of course, if you need to add more glue, then do so. And at the end, you will see me spray the Mia Secret gel resin activator, which is just a spray that helps the glue dry a lot faster, because it is a gel resin. It is going to take a little bit longer to dry, so just apply the activator and it's going to instantly glow, or not glow, but dry the glue. Alrighty, so I'm going to spray the nails with the activator, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the same, or not the same thing, but apply some bling on the ring finger. And I'm just applying these around the cuticle area, and then I'm also going to be applying the gold caviar in between. Alrighty, so now we're going to be applying the foil, and of course we've already applied the glue, so now we're just going to go in and just dab the foil on the nail. As you can see, I'm not applying a lot, just applying it over the clear pieces of the nail, and same thing on the other hand. So just a little bit of the three colors. So I'm using the gold, the blue, and the orange to match the flowers that we already have there. And then I'm going to go ahead and put that up, and I'm going to finish the bling on the other hand. So again, we're using the Mia Secret gel resin. We're gonna just switch it up this time and do the big design on the ring finger and then the cuticle area on the index finger, applying the Mia Secret gel resin on the nail, picking up the bling with the wax pencil, and then also applying the caviar around the big pieces, and then spraying the nail with the activator. Alrighty, so after we finish applying all of the bling and we sprayed the activator, we're going to go ahead and apply the IBD gel top coat on the rest of the nails, and of course curing each hand for 60 seconds. Alrighty, y'all, so here is the final look. They turned out so pretty. Those flowers are really nice and bright, and it just brings out everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at GetNailed32, and I will see you guys next time.